This bird never had a chance. She was launched from a box in the middle of a field and shot before she could get away. This is a pigeon shoot.
Pigeon shoot, like dogfighting or cockfighting, is an underground activity where animals are launched into the air for shooters to kill in a game of gambling and sport. Pennsylvania is the last state where pigeon shoots are openly held.
It's a game where whoever shoots the most birds wins. To prepare, the pigeons are brought to these cages. They all have little chance of escaping without a bullet wound.
Pigeon shoots take place on a small piece of land. Pigeons are put into cages or traps, and they're literally launched in the air as shooters stand from a distance and kill them.
But 70% of them do not die immediately.
Many fly to neighboring woods and die slow, lingering deaths.
Whether they're alive or dead, the birds in the ring will be gathered and disposed of.
Trapper boys run out and they stomp on them, they rip their heads off, they cut their heads off with gardening shears, the worst possible cruelty you can imagine.
Sometimes they land in the neighbors' yards.
We have many members who live by these pigeon shoots, and they find dead and dying birds on their property. They clean up birds on their property and have to deal with the problems associated with these birds. In some cases, bodies fall into the water and wash up on the shore. Other times, neighbors may come into their backyard and find dead and dying birds in their backyard. It's a terrible situation and ought to be stopped. The only people who support this activity are the shooters themselves.
Yet birds are actually brought to these rural areas of Pennsylvania.
We have information to show that many are brought into the state illegally, are netted in cities like New York City, and then transported into the state for this kind of activity.
This video exposes the middle ground for these birds, cooped up in cages until they're carted off to be killed.
They were being trafficked through a local pet store and then into the state of Pennsylvania for these underground shoots.
And most shooters aren't even from Pennsylvania. That means for many locals, more taxpayer dollars toward law enforcement to keep the shooters out of their community.
There needs to be a state law to prevent this kind of activity statewide.
It's a game that's unfair for the birds and unfair for the people who live here.
Pigeon shoots are not widely supported. It's an underground fringe activity that only a few out-of-state people participate in.
The Humane Society of the United States wants lawmakers to, once and for all, end this cruel practice.
It doesn't take any courage to shoot a tame pigeon launched from a box. It definitely doesn't take any courage to pass a law to stop this practice.